For Creamer Media's Polity, I am Shannon de Rehove. Researcher and analyst Professor Raymond Suttner joins me to discuss the realignments in South African politics. Welcome, Professor.
Thank you for having me.
Now, last week the DA announced that Agang leader Mamphela Ramphele would stand as their presidential candidate, yet she's now renegade on that decision. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, I don't think it was such a significant merger. I don't think it would have had such a significant effect on South African politics. So I would say that we're back to where we were, where you have an overwhelmingly dominant ANC, and it's unclear how that will be challenged electorally.
In your latest column, you state that you were critical of the way that Ramphele initiated her party. Why do you say that?
Well, I never joined Agang. However, I believed that it was important to have some fresh ideas enter into the political terrain. However, when you say that you want to consult widely and discuss and hear people, it's very important that you do not present them in the beginning with something that ought to be an outcome of discussions. So to have announced that it was forming a political party in the beginning was, to me, to set a barrier to what could come out of discussions. Now, the Numsa development, for example, in my view, it's rather narrow in many respects, but one respect it's not narrow. It hasn't predetermined what the outcome will be, what type of united front, and whether it will form a political party, whereas Agang announced from the beginning that it was going to be a political party. That, to me, was a barrier to the character of discussions that could develop.
You state that most ANC members and former members have a strong antagonism towards the DA, something they don't have towards, for instance, the UDM, COPE and other parties. What effect could this have on the DA in the upcoming elections?
Well, I think that it may be that the DA will draw some votes from COPE, because COPE has had all these leadership problems. However, there's nothing new in what I was saying there. The DA has got a very slick way of presenting itself. It has now got some black leaders who are very articulate, but in the eyes of most people who support the ANC, or at least support the aspirations that the ANC used to represent, find it impossible to move towards supporting DA, which they see as representing white interests, and being reluctant to embrace the aspirations of black people.
You believe that the DA hasn't done anything to change its orientation, to increase its interest amongst black voters. What do you think they should be doing?
It's not my job to advise the DA. Maybe if they offered me a huge fee, I would, because they've got people employed to do this. But I don't really want the DA to succeed, because I believe even the way the DA reacted yesterday to Ramphele was a little bit distasteful to me, because what Zille said about Mamphele was, in my view, something that should have been said in private. This thing about not being trustworthy and playing a cat and mouse game or something like this. It was very disrespectful. So I don't actually like the way the DA operates, but I also don't believe that the DA has embraced the aspirations of the majority of the population.
You describe, as you touched on earlier, that the game changer in South African politics is actually the breakaway of Numsa from COSATU and the withdrawal of their ANC support. What political party do you think is most likely to gain their support in the upcoming elections?
In the Numsa have indicated that their focus electorally is not on this election, but on the 2019 election, by which time they may have played a role in establishing a workers' party. So for the immediate election, it may well be that most Numsa supporters will vote ANC, because, or they'll stay away. If they decide, I think there's a statement last week where they said, we have not advised members on how they should vote. In the past, COSATU members have tended to be chairs of ANC branches and consequently played a very big role in the electoral efforts of the ANC. And it may well be that if they do not play this role, that the ANC will not get so many of its voters to the polls. So that might have an effect on the elections. However, the importance of the Numsa initiative is on its impact on the coherence of the ruling alliance. Because if there's instability in COSATU, it is an instability that affects the support base of the unity of ANC, SACP and COSATU. And I think they may be more hostile to SACP than to COSATU, than to ANC. So that the stability of the ruling alliance may be impaired, because it would be a mistake to think that the dissatisfaction voiced by Numsa is only within Numsa and the 9 unions who voted for the special congress of COSATU. It may be that in the other unions, it's likely, in fact, that as a minority share the views of Numsa.
Now, you mentioned that Numsa haven't stated who their members should vote for. Is it not undemocratic to suggest somebody vote for a particular party?
Why is it undemocratic? Because if you are a trade union and you wish to guide your members as to which political party has the interests of the working class at heart, it's your duty really to advise them. Okay. It's not, you can't compel them, but I think when you have a political school like they had last week, one of the roles of a political school would be to analyze the current political situation, explain beneath the rhetoric, what is it that this party stands for? What is it that that one stands for? What do you want from a political party? So that people should, through an educational process, come to understand themselves, not because of the instruction, but to have a shared understanding. Now, I don't know how they did it, but that would be my reasoning.
Thank you very much, Raymond.
Thanks.
That was Professor Raymond Suttner discussing realignments in South African politics.